Back. This is the 26th video in the Flow Certified Professional online training series, and in this video we're going to talk about the art of politics. The leadership takeaways for this video are that you should also look at the Jamie video, Demoting My Career. That's also included in the YouTube listings as well as in the Moodle course or in the course itself. Politics arise because of missing agreements or division or lack of vision, but one of the things that you probably need to remember is politics is a blood sport. If you don't believe me, watch American politics and you'll see that it is a blood sport. And this is being recorded in August of 2020. So the next 90 days, you're going to get to witness a lot of blood sport. Politics lead to friction, confusion, underperformance, and gridlock. How we mitigate this and analyze this and then mitigate it is we have a couple things that we look at, including interest and effort. And then you mitigate politics by using vision and culture, communications, and distilling agreement. You'll want to pause this video and go watch the Jamie video. And you can watch around the first 3 minutes. You can watch the whole thing if you want. I like Jamie. He's really transparent and open. And you'll be able to get the gist of it in about the first 3 minutes. But it's about 10 minutes total, so feel free to watch the whole thing. And for Jamie, he doesn't believe that there's any repeatable, duplicatable pattern that you can use for dealing with politics. And I just want Jamie to know that flow and everything that we teach in flow throughout all the different videos, flow is how you deal with the politics. So this Flow Certified Professional Training video and using flow to transform when you're doing the FCC and learning how to do that, the Flow Certified Coach, we teach you how to mitigate the politics because it's there. And there are books. We've got Nehemiah Effect and Flow and these trainings and our blog posts to help you learn how to survive the blood sport called politics. As I mentioned earlier, politics are usually a result of missing agreements or no agreement at all. And it's also a result of division or lack of vision. And it's really important to remember politics is a blood sport. Don't think for a second that a person is necessarily for you. Okay? If somebody's out to get you in your company and they're a savvy politician, they can do a marketing campaign against you or a political campaign against you. It's the same thing. And basically wipe you out. So these are valuable things to understand and to know how to use, and so that you know how to defend yourself when it gets ugly. Because the reality is as you move up higher into the organization, you go from the team level to the program level to the portfolio level, it's a knockdown, drag out fight. Ted and I used to joke about, it's like the octagon for the mixed martial artists where you throw them in the ring and whoever's left standing wins. But we're going to go back 500 years, over 500 years, and we're going to look at this statement by Niccolo Machiavelli. I love it because it's just so spot on, and human nature hasn't changed in half a millennia. And for people who keep on saying, oh, humans are getting better, I'm not buying that, especially here in 2020 with what I'm seeing in the US where they're burning down the cities. I wouldn't call that getting better. And so, anyways, it must be remembered that there is nothing more difficult to plan, more doubtful of success, nor more dangerous to manage than the creation of a new system. For the initiator has the enmity of all who would profit by the preservation of the old institutions, and merely lukewarm defenders and those who would gain by the new ones. So, if you learn nothing else, now, this is really important for politics that you really get this and understand this. So, I used these slides about 20 years ago, and I pulled them out again recently because they're so accurate. In fact, I'm pretty sure I worked with this developer right here. I think he knows who he is. But anyways, an organization's like a tree full of monkeys, all on different limbs at different levels, some climbing up, some climbing down, others falling off. The monkeys on top look down and see a tree full of smiling faces. The monkeys at the bottom look up and see nothing but politics, which leads to friction, confusion, underperformance, and in worst cases, gridlock. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to analyze your stakeholders. This is the more traditional way with power and interest, okay? How much power does your stakeholder have, and how much interest do they have in your product development or your project or your program or portfolio. And so this is how you manage stakeholders, and it's your roadmap for building critical mass. Now, the thing that Ted and I had that was an advantage is that our dad was an elected official. We went through campaigns. My tongue still has scars on it from licking thousands of envelopes to seal to mail out campaign literature. Been doing that since I was a very small young boy, and was still active all the way up until the '88 election when my dad ran for Supreme Court. And the one thing our dad taught us is basically you need to know if people are for your project, against your project, or if they're neutral. And Dad's point was, don't waste your time trying to convert the heretics, okay? If somebody's for you, encourage them to vote, help them get to the voting booths. If somebody's neutral, ambivalent, or doesn't know, those are the ones that you go after first. Now, that doesn't mean you don't work with negatives. If somebody's against flow or agile, I love a good challenge, and I've had some of the most negative people you would ever believe walk into our training. 2.5 days later, they're going, this is really good, and we need to do this. So I'm not against trying to flip negative people. It takes it's a skill set to be able to do that. So what it looks like is you write down everybody's name on Post-it notes. You create your power and interest grid based on high power, low interest, high interest. And then on each person's Post-it note, you put, are they for the project? Are they against the project? How much power do they have? Are they neutrals? And so this quickly gives you the ability to figure out how is this organization actually going to function on a political plane. Also gives you an insight into the culture of the organization as well. Okay, so the first one is to do power and interest based on do the stakeholders want your project to succeed. Now, the other part of the grid, or second grid that we've done, is effort. Okay, it's one thing to have interest. It's another thing to actually do something. Okay, they might be really interested and they don't do anything, and so that's what you need to map as well. And so Now all of a sudden, everyone who's for the project, they're going to put in a lot of effort. Those that are not interested in the project, they're going to move over, and even though they're very high power, then it doesn't make any difference and you don't have to worry about those. So the critical mass that you're trying to build is in these two right hand blocks where people are either have a high interest or they're willing to put in a high effort. Those are how you build the critical mass. Now, there's one more layer that I haven't drawn, and it goes back to both interest and effort. But instead of towards the project, it's towards you personally. So when you're done, you should have 4 of these. You do 2 for the project and 2 for you individual, because you need to find out, is that person for me or are they against me? Because that's going to impact how you deal with that person. And you need to be pragmatic about this, and you need to be realistic about this, because there are going to be people out there that don't like you. It's that simple. And frankly, I've been around long enough that if they don't like me, unless they're paying my salary, I'm not sure I really care anymore if they like me, because they might not like me because I'm a threat to all the crap that they've been doing for the last 20 or 30 years. And I'm going to come in and shake the tree and go, wait a second, why are you doing this? And as a consultant who's trying to do what's best for the organization, I can come in and do that. And so that will immediately, for people who have been playing games and doing politics and having a good time and getting really well paid for it, they don't like it when somebody shows up and suddenly the teams start performing better. It makes them look bad, because it's like, well, you've been here 20 years. How come you didn't do this? It's that simple. So you just need to be aware of it. Do it from a product or project perspective, and then from a personal perspective. This is a way to do stakeholder management that I've not really seen anywhere else done this way. And this is why we win when we come into an organization, is we'll figure out a way to create the critical mass. And that doesn't always bode well for some of those layers in the middle there that have been playing games and not delivering the results that they should have been delivering in the first place. So we're giving you some very potent and powerful tools. With much power comes much responsibility. So please use these carefully. And this is one of the cases where, when I've worked with other consultants, we've actually not shown our pictures to the organization. We are sensitive that, especially if the team has put these together, we will actually only use those in the presence of the team, and we'll hide these particular things from executives if we feel that they're actually working against the goals and objectives and the vision of the team. So it becomes much more complex than you could ever imagine when you're doing stakeholder management. But you have to think about it in terms of a political campaign and winning a political campaign. To manage and mitigate the politics, we use vision. We use their own words against them. We'll use their culture against them. We'll use cascading vision in a way to wrap the rope around their feet and tighten it down, because once we lock in that vision, they have it limits their wiggle room. We use the 4D model, we use the 4R model, we use communications, we've done internal road shows. Some people will call it the dog and pony show. That's just good sales and marketing, guys. Sorry, if you're an engineer and you think, oh yeah, I'm not going to do this, trust me, if you want to win, you better learn how to do this stuff. And remember to communicate the vision 10 times more than you think it needs to be communicated. So we're now about 53% of the way through. So we're over halfway, yes. And remember to watch the Jamie video. We've talked about politics and how it bubbles up to the surface. If you don't believe your organization has politics, please email me. I would like to talk to you. I have some therapists I can recommend because I think you're living in a parallel universe or something. Every organization, politics will bubble up. If you have two people in the room, you'll have three opinions. You've got politics. And just remember that politics leads to friction, confusion, and underperformance. Everything else takes leadership, but you have a high risk that you could end up in gridlock if politics are happening. And there's no better way to stop a project or a product development effort than to sow in confusion. Okay? That's a tried, true, and tested methodology to stop any project. So it's a double-edged sword, so be very careful. We've shown you some new ways to look at your stakeholders, how to map and analyze them, and to look at it via both interest and effort, and not just for the project or product, but also for you personally. Because remember, not everybody's for you, okay? And the minute that you understand that, it's really tough in a big organization to be friends with everybody, especially if you're in a leadership role. It's like parent-adult relation or parent-kid relationships where, you know, a lot of parents make the mistake that, oh, I have to be my kid's friend. No, you're the parent. Be the leader. And the kids aren't always going to like what you're telling them, but okay, be the adult in the room. That's life. So the application, taking this out of the book, this is real world stuff. Be very careful how you do this. You don't necessarily have to show everything that you do with the team to the executives or other stakeholders because they might be offended by what the team actually says about them. And do you have politics in your organization? I can guarantee you. What steps have you done to mitigate or eliminate politics from your day-to-day work? And you need to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you part of the problem? Okay? If you're gossiping about somebody else, or you're talking about somebody else, or you don't like somebody else, you've created politics. Okay? And so it's up to you to be a peacemaker and to be healer and not just, you know, me. Okay? Servant leadership is about the bigger vision, about others, and about creating something that's sustainable. Like I said, do you know who is really on your side? Not just those who say they are. And you'll only find out with their walk and their talk. If their walk and talk match, great. If they're not, if they're only talking the talk and they say, yeah, I'm for you, it's like whenever you hear a president say something along the lines of, I'm behind you 100%. That means he's way behind you about 200-300 miles that direction going, I just threw that person under the bus. So you really need to figure out if somebody is actively working for your best interest or if they're actively working against your best interests. So politics, I know that a lot of people don't like to deal with it, but everything that we teach you in Flow will help you mitigate and win in this blood sport.